Welcome back to Democracy Catastrophe. Uh, a lot of people should ask the question, why did I name a channel called Democracy Catastrophe? Simple. Everybody's trying to look at our political system and try to predict the future based on what past events, personalities. Even I got myself hooked up into the prediction game, even though we try as humanly possible to try not to get into the game of trying to play of who's who, what's what, and what's going on back and forth. Thing is about politics is that a lot of it is driven by the media. The media's on our own for the last maybe 70, 60 to 70 years has been owned by conglomerate corporate business interests who wants to push an agenda that steers profits towards them and possibly a narrative about what's going wrong with the rest of the world. And in doing so, there's been this powder case since 1967, 68, after, was that Barry Goldwater, Richard Nixon, and when Lyndon Baines Johnson decided not to seek another term for the election of 1968. Lyndon Baines Johnson knew that he fucked up in Vietnam because the more you put bombs into an area where there's like an infestation of Vietnamese in their own country, they realize they cannot win a war because regardless of who's going to be, what sort of government the country's going to run, they're going to run the country's going the way it's going to run. And if it means if that country gets the backing of a country that's socialist, there's more than this is more than anything. Those countries are what you call the domino theory. If one country falls, Vietnam fell, Cambodia fell, and Laos all fell under a socialistic, communistic government backed by the Chinese and Soviet Union back in the 60s and 70s. Ergo, that we've been on a lot of wars that we've been losing for a long time. And you talk about what was happening in Iran and Iraq. That all started back during the days of OPEC, back in the 70s, late 70s, because the corporate moguls decided they wanted more oil out of those countries. Try to get a better slice of the pie out of the Middle East. When you put in puppet governments inside the Middle East, there's going to be turmoil in that area, and that's always been a mess ever since. Well, since after World War I, and there's really nothing you can say or do that's going to change my mind about who's really to blame. It's us. A lot of times we have one foot in wanting to change and three more steps and not wanting to change. for every inch we try to pull forward, we have like 3 or 4 steps that we want to pull back. As a society, and saying, hey, we don't want this whole culture. It's just going to hurt our feelings. And and for me to understand that, you got to understand there's going to be winners, there's going to be some losers in everything. And instability, if it's created, and we already know it's always been there for the last 40, 50 years now. And the narratives have been strong enough. If we take away the regulations and let corporate America do what is best for the people, they're going to do it without anybody looking over their shoulders. And what do you have? What has been happening? Massive losses, corporate profits going up. You have a system in which investors benefit more than the people that work for the company. And what you see in Hollywood and what you see on television is, hey, we get all this stuff, it's all this wealth. We just don't know what to do with this. My feelings are going to get hurt if X, Y, and Z. Then you have things like corporate do-gooders trying to put lipstick on a pig and try to find that white shining armor who's got very much a lot of wealth trying to help the little people out there so that they can feel so good about themselves when in reality, if you're trying to stroke your ego, chances are you want to feel good about helping other people trying to do the right thing. I have nothing against people making a lot of money. Absolutely. I want to have a lot of money. I want money up the ass. I want money till days on end coming out my asshole. I'm pulling out a couple 20s here, a couple 20s there, a couple hundreds here. Well, you know what I'm saying. Unlimited wealth, financial security has always been the American dream. Doesn't matter if you have the house. It doesn't really matter if you have a wife, kids, or a husband and kids. It doesn't even matter if you have a car or a vacation spot here, blah, blah, blah. The whole goal for the American dream is to be able to meet the needs of yourself. Always has been. That's the American dream. Stability. So what does this have to do with anything we're talking about Donald Trump? For a lot of people, we kind of reward selfishness. We reward selfish behavior in more ways than one. And the thing about it is, there's always been a narrative. There's always these anomalies about wealth where the rich always get away with stuff. Now, I wish that was true, but now there's more in the ways in the last 4 years. I think the Democrats have finally figured out how to defeat the Republicans. And it's not through elections, it is through the courts. For the last 40 years, the Republicans have been stacking the courts to help foster change into the legal system so that corporate America benefits over the consumers, the working class, the middle class, and the poor. That's it. And it's just, there's really no formula of why it is. The thing is every man for themselves mentality that is actually has hurt Americans from the time we declared our independence from 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 the British Empire. You can blame the King of England for that. You can blame, but it's mostly whoever has the most money as one who's going to be blamed for the atrocities that's been happening in and around the United States. What happened to the CEO for United Healthcare? I really do feel bad for his family and everything, but I don't really feel sorry for him because he had the backing of Wall Street and his board of directors to consume as much of the shares possible inside of the health industry and wanted to become a monopoly. And in doing so, he kind of forfeited his life because of what the perception, not only the perception of what they have been doing, was that defend, deny, and depose, whatever those things were, is just you sack your customers with the bill. In other terms, in other words, you slam them with either a high deductible or they're on their own paying for surgeries that is needed, but it's been denied. And just after the election, this happens. So what's going to happen? I don't think a lot is going to happen, except for the fact that they're going to learn all the wrong lessons in corporate America, what not to do, how not to be in public, how to be behind the scenes more or less, and not be in the forefront of what they know is wrong, but it's legal to do. Thing about Biden over Trump, Harris over Trump. Biden had no shot in hell to win that election. In that first debate, he got shellacked really bad. And Donald Trump just stood there with his thumb up his ass, doing that number. Well, there is no three-dimensional chess being played there. It's just that the Americans were just tired of it. All right, fine. If you're going to be screwing us, fine. I think Americans are tired of the system that we have. It's not working in the favor of the way it's supposed to be. And we get these tireless polls after polls after polls saying, what should we do differently? The truth of the fact of the matter is, you just give us the platform to live the lives of what we want to live behind closed doors, but you protect us when we're outside the home. How can you go wrong with that? We're tired of men telling women what to do with their lives and their own bodies. It's their lives. They should be treated differently. They should be treated the same. If corporations are people, so are women. If you want to go by that logic. Because right now, the Supreme Court really has no style. They're a bunch of clowns. And right now, what has happening in the next some more days, there's going to be executive order after executive order by Biden, and he's just going to be jamming packed a lot of stuff and jamming Trump up to screw his agenda. Now, one of the things he's been trying to do is to get all the visas needed for the asylum seekers that are coming to America and making sure that they do have a chance at becoming citizens of the United States. You're talking about Venezuela, you're talking about Sudan, you're talking about Syria, you're talking about any other country around the world that's war torn, that has been pretty much sanctioned by the CIA, who created this problem to begin with. And you expect me to believe that Trump has got the best interest of the hearts of the American people. Because once you see a huge wave of immigrants who may not be white, who aren't white, they're brown, black, or yellow skinned. They don't want those people there. If they do want them, they want ones who have bachelor's or a master's or a doctorate degrees to come into the United States. And how's that going to benefit America? How is that going to benefit America? The thing is, the United States has always been a melting pot of immigrants. From day one, when the first settlers came here to the United States, from God knows, from Spain, France, Netherlands, go as far back as 900 AD, when the Vikings supposedly came into North Carolina or into Nova Scotia or Minnesota. And you think about it, it really makes a lot of sense that we as a nation have got to reflect what the rest of the world looks like. Absolutely. If there's the majority of people that are brown skinned who will come up here and make a better life for themselves, so let them. Let them start their families. Let them have a good education. Let them prosper. Well, that we want to be prosper, and just leave them alone. But the thing is, people who live in fear think the us and them mentality means that these people, it's either us or them. They're going to go get us. We're going to destroy our way of life, our way of thinking. And a lot of times, what that way of life and way of thinking is that we as European Americans, I call it what it is. We as a society as a whole, if you're white European descent, and if you fear that other countries are going to destroy your thinking, your way of life, that's pretty much on you. We all have to change, be pragmatic, and learn how to get along with one another. That's a key word in America about our country. It's called the United States for a reason, so that we can all be united. It doesn't matter political thinking, doesn't matter about wealth or wealth inequality. That means we have to learn how to get along with each other. Well, that's communist and socialist nonsense. Go away, you commie, pinko, socialist, Nazi motherfucker. Some people on the right will say that to me. I can tell you from my experience, you do not see a real look of what America could look like until you get yourself in the military in the last 30 to 40 years. I mean, you see all walks of life, black, white, female generals. Mountains was never even heard of back in during the days of World War II or World War One. Everybody was white and male. And if you had that privilege of being white, male, and rich, you were guaranteed a kind of a slot in order to become an officer, being handpicked by a congressperson to go to West Point, go to Annapolis back in those days, back before World War One or World War II. The thing about this great experiment about the U.S. Constitution is it is meant up for interpretation. As it sucks. We, the people, I'll just leave you with this. Donald Trump may or may not survive another 4 years. And if he does, he's going to be ended up looking foolish. Number one. Number two, he's possibly somebody's going to let leak his hospital records, his doctor visits, and possibly at the request of Melania Trump. And she's the one who's going to be spilling the beans in all this. With the help of J.D. Vance and possibly what's his face? Steve Bannon, I think it is. Well, regardless, what you're going to be seeing is buffoonery at its best and at its worst. And you're going to see people be infected, literally. You're possibly going to see a lot of farmers go through the same bullshit. And some of them are possibly just going to be just calling it quits and putting their farms up for sale because of the tariffs that he wants to implement. When it became a reality, when November 5th came, It became a reality for a lot of people on the right, in the breadbasket. And I'm willing to bet if I go to any local news outlets saying there's many farms that are up for sale, some are just getting out of the business completely. The prices of exports has just been skyrocketing, and they just cannot afford these outlandish tariffs. If you really want to get to know your candidates better, just gotta do is just ask. Ask them what is the main issues in my district. How can I make a difference for my community? If that's the way you feel about America, I'm not going to push something that's I know is something I should be doing, but why? I'd rather be an armchair YouTube hack than actually do a lot of that work that a lot of people put the time and effort and energy into it. I just do this channel just for my own pleasure. Nothing more, nothing less. I may know a few things about something. If something comes to my mind of what I want done on this channel, I'm gonna make those tweaks and try to keep it as short as possible. Anyways, what will happen in the next 7 days? J.D. Vance, Donald Trump hit the White House running on day one. Number two, the media is going to plant a bug about exercising, was that the 26th or 27th Amendment to the Constitution, where Donald Trump is considered incapacitated beyond beyond reproach, and he is reproachable. So I don't really care one way or the other what happens after the 20th. All I know is I know I have to survive. What about you?